What's going on, people of YouTube? Today, I have a very important question I need to ask. What is the deal with Danny Phantom games? Or I guess I really should say, why aren't there more Danny Phantom games? You see, over the last few weeks, I've been playing through many different Nickelodeon-based games here on this channel, and some of which happen to star the half-ghost hero himself. But when it comes to independent games based on this particular property, the show only produced about two. Yep, only two. Which has been on my mind for many years now, even as a kid, and to be honest, it's very strange, especially given the show's popularity in the mid-2000s, and the fact that Danny plays a prominent role in the Nicktoons crossover series. You would think that the franchise should have at least one solo game on a home console, right? Right? Nope, apparently not. Meanwhile, Jimmy Neutron and Fairly OddParents have quite a few PS2 and GameCube titles to themselves, and don't even get me started with frickin' SpongeBob. Compared to the other juggernauts of Nickelodeon around that time, it just seems poor old Danny gets left with nothing but two substandard handheld games for GBA and Nintendo DS. And no, I'm not counting the Nickelodeon.com website games either, even though some of them are kinda fun. And I guess you could also argue that other well-known Nicktoons like Invader Zim, Cat Scratch, and My Life as a Teenage Robot didn't get any video game adaptations at all, but it's still very odd to see such a beloved series get the cold shoulder like this. Maybe it had something to do with marketing or ratings or funding, I'm not too sure. Despite the fact that the show was cancelled in 2007, it still got to have a proper final episode unlike several other shows, and continues to have cultural relevance today with Danny's most recent appearance in Nickelodeon All-Stars Brawl and a crossover event with Smite. I still firmly believe that this series deserves to have a decent mainline game, preferably based around another one of the TV specials, but let's be real here, that will probably never happen at this point. Nonetheless, before I finish this discussion, I want to briefly review and analyze the two, technically three Danny Phantom games that actually do currently exist. Starting off with the very first title, Danny Phantom: The Ultimate Enemy on Game Boy Advance, which came out on September 8th, 2005, developed by Ultron Studios and based around the special episode of the same name. And for anyone who actually played this game, you can really tell that Ultron was behind it, as the music and art direction is ripped straight from Freeze Frame Frenzy, or at least repurposed in some way. The general structure of this game is a retelling of the TV episode in the form of a 2D side-scrolling platformer slash beat-em-up where you run and fly around as Danny and defeat waves of ghosts with a simple punch and kick attack combo, as well as a few special moves and gadgets, like the Fenton Thermos, phase shifting through enemies and obstacles, and my personal favorite, the Ghostly Whale, for example. There are also a couple of boss battles here, and they're super duper easy, even the final one against future Danny, although I can still appreciate that there's at least some kind of boss battles in this pretty simple game. In a nutshell, the gameplay here is serviceable enough but can get a bit repetitive by the end. It's definitely not what I'd call my ideal Danny Phantom game, but it's still something, I guess. Okay, now let's move on to the second and last official Danny Phantom game, based on the Urban Jungle TV special, which came out on September 18th, 2006, also developed by Ultron, and I can already say that it's slightly better than Ultimate Enemy. However, the gameplay is completely different from what you've come to expect. This time, it's a side-scrolling shooter with occasional 3D vehicle sections, boss fights, and bonus stages. I won't really elaborate on the GBA port though, because both versions of the game are more or less the same, aside from minor graphical and hardware differences. Honestly, at first I didn't think I would like this one because you really just fly around and shoot the whole time, but it's actually kind of fun and slightly challenging in some moments. And being the shooter that it is, the gameplay will mostly have you holding down the A button about 80% of the time, but it didn't feel tedious to me. The game will try to spice things up a little bit with the special powers and weapons returning from Ultimate Enemy, as well as having different types of energy blasts and incorporating fire and ice abilities. Not bad. I think these new mechanics do just enough to make the game enjoyable through its hour-and-a-half runtime. So, like I said, it is an overall improvement from the previous title. And mind you, both of these games are just okay, nothing too spectacular, but I guess you could say the same about a lot of licensed cartoon games. Personally, my ideal Danny Phantom game would be a combination of these two styles with some 3D platforming, good story, and combat mechanics, but I reiterate once again that it's probably never going to happen. Oh well, a guy can dream, can't he? So, in conclusion, despite the Danny Phantom franchise only producing two pretty average video games at the height of its popularity, I'm still thankful to have gotten something at least. I've always thought this property had tons of potential, especially stacked against other Nicktoons that were popular around its time. And trust me, there are still plenty of fans out there who would love to see the series return in some form or another, but who really knows what the future holds for Danny Phantom? In this era of classic games being remade and old studios creating new original licensed property titles, I have hope that we could see something really cool in the years to come. In the meantime, I'll just keep my fingers crossed. Thank y'all very much for watching this discussion/review on the Danny Phantom franchise. And even though my Nicktoons marathon is coming to a close soon, feel free to let me know if you want me to talk more in depth about any of these other games that I've been playing lately. So, with that said, I'll see you again next time. Bye bye.